All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Lewisville Town Council special called meeting. We will begin today's session with a roll call. I'll go from my left to my right, beginning with Councilman Franklin.
Excuse me, I'm Fred Franklin.
And I'm Brady Allen.
Jerry Gallagher.
Oh, sorry, Billy Carter.
Good evening, I'm Stacy Howard.
Good evening, I'm Suzanne Newsom.
I'm Mac Wilder.
All right, and also we have our staff here as well. We have our town manager, Stacy Tolbert. Thank you for being here. We have our town attorney, Mr. Al Andrews. We thank you for your time. We have our clerk, Ms. Angie Lord, and our finance manager, Ms. Pam Orell. And also we have our communication specialist, Veronica. Thank you for doing what you do as well. Do I sound okay for the folks at home? Okay, awesome. So sorry, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We also have our planning director, Lynn Cochran, and our public works director, Mr. John Hanna. So thanks, guys, for coming as well. Thank you to our deputies in the room as well, also. Thank you, folks, for coming. Our town citizens, thank you for those who are watching at home, whether it be on Facebook Live or Spectrum Cable News Channel 6. This session will begin with an adoption of the agenda. Council, may I have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt agenda.
Second.
All right, motion from Councilmember Gallagher, a second from Councilmember Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and the agenda is adopted. All right, and so we're going to go to our one item for today. Folks, we'll begin with an item that we, of course, you guys may have seen publicly. It's not really an item that we're happy to have to deal with here in Lewisville, but we're here as a council to handle it together. This evening, we come to deal with one of the more serious procedures that we've ever going to have to deal with as a council, the task of considering the censorship of one of our fellow council members, adopted under the Code of Ethics policy. Per policy and practice, I will serve as the presiding officer over this procedure, and I will make procedural decisions as necessary. Under consideration is whether Councilmember Mac Wilder should be censored for actions occurring under the March 5th, 2026 Town Council briefing and action meeting. This proceeding is public. All evidence used or presented, all witness testimony, and our votes are public record and shall be reflected in the minutes. As you know, a censure investigation...
Mr. Mayor, it's for the briefing and action meeting or for statements made and postings placed in social media. That phrase was left out.
Yeah, that was left out for me intentionally. I was sure. We also, if the council would like to, we can discuss items pertaining to social media as well, if the council would like to.
Billy, I would like those statements. That was part of the original reason we had this censure. So I would like that included in this whole censure process. There's no reason why we can't have those Facebook posts as part of it, because it started out as part of it. And I think there's a reason you want to exclude them.
The reason I want to exclude them is because, okay, for one, if there is any indication or any fear of a infringement of freedom of speech, then the goal was to remove that item to provide more clarity for our residents. There are other items that are censorable that have been involved in the investigation beyond the social media conduct, even though I personally feel that the social media conduct is censorable. Tonight, we are going to focus on the meeting that took place on March 5th, 2026. Unless any other council members would like to bring up social media, that is their choosing. But that is where my intentions are. Is that okay with the council?
Mayor, in the motion I made at the June briefing to call this special called meeting for the purpose of this censure, my motion was specifically regarding the actions that took place on March 5th, and I excluded social media for a reason. And therefore, all of the council members here have the ability to bring up topics included in the investigation if they choose to do so. However, whenever I made the motion to call this meeting, it was specifically for the actions on March 5th.
Thank you, Councilman Allen.
Mayor,
Yes, Councilman
if I
Franklin.
might,
Sure.
if you would, pick back up with what you have been provided by our attorney and read that as it is written so that you do not get tripped up as you're going through by another council member, just as you were tripped up a moment ago when you strayed from the script that our attorney is advising us we should follow. So if you would, please, when you circle back around, come back to there and then stick to it as we go forward in this meeting.
What our attorney gave us was a suggestion. I have notes, and I am going to say what I want to say, Councilmember Franklin, if that's okay with you.
That's fine, Mayor, but you're getting us off in a ditch.
I think this is the ditch right here.
All righty.
All right.
Go for it.
Guys, as you know, a censure investigation has been conducted on these matters due to our town charter. It does involve having a censure investigation as opposed to the council making that decision by themselves in one decision. We've had an investigation by our town attorney. All testifying witnesses, including council members, shall give testimony under oath administered by the clerk. This hearing shall proceed with evidence being offered by any council member. That evidence will include the censure investigation itself and might include the testimony or evidence referred to in the investigation or directly related to that investigation. We should refrain from offering information or evidence that relates to events or actions outside of the investigation of the allegations previously referred to. At the conclusion of the debate this evening, we shall vote upon a motion for censure. As I will elaborate further, for this motion to pass, there will need to be a 3/4 favorable vote of the present and voting members. The subject of Councilmember Wilder may not be able to vote. The hearing and any deliberations shall be conducted in open sessions in accordance with the North Carolina Open Meetings statutes. These proceedings shall be recorded, so please speak up and please speak clearly, Council. Any of the votes during the hearing shall be taken by yeas or nays and recorded in the board's minutes. Once the hearing is concluded, it shall be closed by vote of the council. As a presiding officer, I shall then entertain a motion to adopt a non-binding resolution censuring the member based upon specified violations of the Code of Ethics. Any motion made must be an affirmative one in favor of adopting a non-binding resolution of censure. During this hearing, Councilmember Wilder shall have the right to have counsel present, to present and cross-examine expert and other witnesses, and to offer evidence, including evidence of the bias of any other board members or the presiding officer. Now, Councilmember Wilder, for the record, do you have legal counsel present this evening?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Of note, all witnesses will have their oath before testifying or making a statement, so please allow the clerk to administer the oath. For counsel, the clerk will give us the oath together. We shall stand and receive the oath under guidance of Madam Clerk. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mayor and council, I have placed some Bibles on the dais that you will be sharing. So if you will please stand, make sure you have your left hand on the Bible. Councilmember Wilder, if you will just raise your right hand. Everyone else, raise your right hand with your left hand on the Bible, please. And you're just going to say, "I do," if you agree to the following. Do you swear that the testimony that you will give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If you do, say, "I do."
I do.
Thank you.
And before any other witness testifies, they must also receive an oath. I will advise Councilman Wilder that if you decide to cross-examine any fellow council member or witness, please confine your cross-examination to their direct examination testimony of their offered statement. Please do not ask questions about matters that did not arise in the direct testimony. When it is your time to present evidence, you may ask whatever questions you desire on direct examination. Now, I will proceed by asking any council member who wishes to formally offer the censure investigation into evidence. You may do so without making a motion.
I would like to offer this into evidence, Mayor, the entire report, pages 1 through 9, that our attorney provided for us, and it was dated May 13th of 2026. I believe this investigation that has been produced has been available to the public.
Thank you, Councilmember Franklin. Councilmember Wilder, do you have any evidence that you would like to present as well?
I've given Al my screenshots of my Facebook post. I do have notes of my own on questions I want to ask each council member, and Al himself, Stacy, maybe a little bit for Pam, probably anybody on the staff. I don't think Lynn or John, I have any questions for them.
All right, sounds good. And so next, so I will go to you guys in sequence now. One thing I would say, I would like our attorney to read the report. I think it's going to be great for transparency for our residents. I know many of you folks maybe did not have a chance to read the report itself. So folks who are at home watching on Facebook as well, if it's okay with the council, I would like to have our town attorney read the full report. That includes even the social media as well, just to provide full transparency. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The report is titled Censure Investigation Regarding Lewisville Councilmember Mac Wilder. Purpose: this censure investigation was conducted pursuant to a motion made and approved at the March 12, 2026 regular meeting of the Lewisville Town Council. The motion directed Town Attorney Al Andrews to conduct a censure investigation regarding Councilmember Wilder. During the discussion of the motion, Mayor Carter provided an overview of recent events occurring at the March 5th, 2026 Town Council Briefing and Action Meeting. The mayor referenced a staff presentation regarding a community swimming pool's anticipated cost. The mayor cited Councilmember Wilder's reactions to this presentation, as well as the council member's social media post, his public polling for a community pool, and the fireworks event, his negative commentary toward residents on social media, and his alleged removal of Facebook posts. The mayor requested council to support a motion to direct town attorney to conduct an investigation into a potential censure of Councilmember Wilder. This investigation will report on and summarize witness interviews, submitted statements, available documents, and data. The investigation will attempt to synthesize these materials into a readable narrative. Reference will be made to the town's Code of Ethics for elected officials and to certain town policies where relevant. Findings will be offered. However, this investigation will not include recommendations for or against a censure, as that is the province of the council. For this investigation, there were several witnesses that were interviewed. Those witnesses include Billy Carter Jr., Stacey Howard, Brady Allen, Suzanne Newsom, Mac Wilder, Lynn Cochran, Kathy Ewalt, Susan Fry, and Monty Long. For organizational purposes, this investigation will divide the discussion, skip the piece, documents and data. Documents and data were provided by both witnesses listed above and people who were not interviewed. These include Facebook discussion group messages, screenshots, and an email exchange between town manager and Councilmember Wilder. For organizational purposes, this investigation will divide the discussion between matters surrounding the events occurring at the March 5th, 2026 council briefing meeting and matters surrounding Facebook and online postings. As far as the style of presenting the investigative results, the accounts provided by the witnesses are woven together in a narrative as opposed to witness A said this and witness B said that. Where there is a tangible difference in witness accounts, that will be noted. For ease and economy of language, the designation CM may be used as an abbreviation for council member. Section 1, March 5th, 2026 council briefing and action meeting. A, it is alleged that Councilmember Wilder acted inappropriately during a Lewisville Town Council meeting and disrupted proceedings for a short time. During the March 5th, 2026 Lewisville Council briefing and action meeting, Town Manager Stacy Tolbert was given was giving a presentation on anticipated costs to design, build, and install a community swimming pool. Included in the presentation was information detailing requirements and timelines for placing the ballot measure in time for the next general election. Reference was made to the consultation with and involvement of the local government commission in matters affecting town finance and borrowing. The presentation also addressed the potential impact of a community pool construction project on taxes. Councilmember Wilder appeared to become upset with portions of the presentation. The investigation reveals that at one point he interjected with comments expressing his frustration and doubt. His comments indicated a disagreement with the information being presented and a belief that the presented cost, timelines, and steps were exaggerated or inaccurate. During this meeting, Councilmember Wilder physically stood up in front of his chair, abruptly with hands around either one or two Monster Energy drink aluminum cans. Parenthetically, two witnesses stated that Councilmember Wilder crushed or crumpled one or both cans with his hands. Councilmember Wilder then made statements to the effect that he was disappointed with the matter and it seemed with the opportunity to serve on the board. He further stated that he was not going to waste his time for 2 years serving on this board. Councilmember Wilder moved away from his place and went around the edge of the conference table behind Mayor Carter. He stopped beside Mayor Carter and hastily placed his crumpled paycheck on the table. He then placed the can or cans in the trash or recycling bin. He briefly asked staff member Lynn Cochran where he might find a drink or a snack. Mr. Cochran pointed out the location to Councilmember Wilder. Councilmember Wilder then left the room and went down one of the hallways in Town Hall. In the meeting room where there were fellow council members, town staff, and community members, there was a visible surprise on the faces of many in attendance. Witness accounts that described feelings at this point included that they felt surprise, discomfort, shock, dismay, and some felt disappointed. Certain witnesses feared what might happen next. In any regard, it was clear that there was heightened tension in the room during the incident. By his actions, some council members felt that Councilmember Wilder had initially excused himself from the proceedings. But Councilmember Wilder never requested that he be excused, and his actions would not grant a proper excusal or recusal. After a short time, Councilmember Wilder re-entered the room, but instead of returning to his councilmember seat, he sat in the chairs typically used for community members, visitors, or staff. However, later in the meeting, when other agenda items were being discussed, Councilmember Wilder offered comment and participated in the discussion from his seat in the audience. He did not return to his place at the conference table. Some witnesses expressed that they thought Councilmember Wilder's prior actions in standing up and leaving the room represented his desire to remove himself from the council. So some witnesses were surprised that he later participated in agenda item discussions. Some witnesses described Councilmember Wilder's actions as petulant and demonstrating a lack of respect for the opinions of fellow council members and staff. One witness offered that Councilmember Wilder's actions did not terrorize staff or present a threat of immediate harm to anyone in the room, but that his reaction was similar to a temper tantrum and thus inappropriate for the circumstances. Councilmember Wilder characterized his reaction during the agenda briefing meeting as being based on his surprise and disappointment at the numbers being provided by the town manager. He indicated that one slide showed a $12 million cost estimate that Councilmember Wilder believed was at least $4 million higher than what he believed was the actual cost based on his research and estimates. He believed the figures were provided to kill the project and thus were unfair. He further stated his belief the figures were provided. I'm sorry, I repeated myself. He further stated his belief that the town would not need to spend money on renderings or other preparatory steps before knowing if the matter passed the vote on a November 26, 2026 ballot referendum. Regarding his actions, Councilmember Wilder stated that he did become upset during the presentation, but that he only left the room to calm down. He did not intend to permanently excuse himself from the meeting or from his service as a council member. Councilmember Wilder offered that he left the room to de-escalate things and return to the meeting once he calmed down. While reiterating that he posed no threat to anyone, he shared that upon returning to the room, he made comments as a council member, particularly about lowering the age limit for bingo in Lewisville. In support of this position, Councilmember Wilder shared a February 27, 2026 email exchange he had with Town Manager Stacy Tolbert, where he requested the Manager and Finance Director Oral to sketch out a fictitious project, referencing that the pool could be a $6 million project. In this exchange, Councilmember Wilder also discussed the tax rate and requested 20-year history of Lewisville's tax rates. In her February 27, 2026 response, the town manager informed Councilmember Wilder that the pool bond referendum item would be coming up for discussion during the March 5th, 2026 council briefing meeting, and that staff would be going through the numbers and research they had gathered for a pool project, including the steps that must be taken and the cost estimates associated with each step. Further, staff would have, for Councilmember Wilder, a prepared printout of the town's tax rate history for the past 20 years. Section B, points of consideration. Councilmember Wilder was aware that the March 5th meeting agenda would include a presentation regarding community pool-related costs, steps, a timeline, and the steps associated with a ballot bond referendum. Town of Lewisville Code of Ethics that addresses elected officials' behavior and generally accepted rules of decorum for professional and work environments. Section C, findings. In reacting the way he did, Councilmember Wilder's actions during the March 5th, 2026 council briefing were not within decorum and thus unacceptable. Councilmember Wilder was aware before the meeting occurred that a presentation would be made and that data and numbers would be shared. He could have prepared himself to receive information he either agreed or disagreed with. He could have expressed his disagreement in a more composed and reserved way. Councilmember Wilder could have respected the opinion of fellow council members and refrained from verbal rebukes of staff. If he only wanted to take a moment to calm down, he could have so indicated versus creating confusion by his comments and walking out. Overall, Councilmember Wilder's reaction was thus unprofessional per the excerpted sections of the Lewisville Town Council Code of Ethics included below. Part 2, social media post. Section A, it is alleged that Councilmember Wilder used social media to conduct public polling regarding a community pool and a fireworks demonstration. Further, it is alleged that he made negative comments toward or regarding a citizen on social media. Finally, it is alleged that Councilmember Wilder may have removed certain social media posts. On Facebook, a group page titled Lewisville, North Carolina Community Watch existed. Councilmember Wilder participated in the group. Membership appeared to be open to any Facebook user approved by the administrator, Stacy Bowles. Posts were visible to all members, and the administrator appeared able to remove posts. Section B, alleged online name calling. Among the exhibits there is an undated post to the Lewisville, North Carolina Community Watch group, which appears to be from Councilmember Wilder, identified as Mac Wilder. In this post, Councilmember Wilder addresses comments or concerns raised by an A.C. Hingler. Councilmember Wilder admits he made the comments in the post, but states he did not disparage or negatively engage A.C. Hingler through this post. He just expressed his support for a community pool and his rationale. Other witnesses gave indications that this exchange of posts occurred on March 8, 2026. Witnesses also provided that in a separate post, which appears to have been removed by the administrator, Councilmember Wilder referred to A.C. Hingler as a Karen. Karen is a slang or pejorative term used in common parlance to refer to someone as being annoying or shrill. When interviewed, Councilmember Wilder admitted to using the term Karen when referring to an online group commentator. Councilmember Wilder stated he was not looking to offend the citizen or anyone by his use of that term. He just wanted a trendier way to refer to the person rather than a term such as negative Nancy. Section C, use of the term we rather than his name or singular pronouns. It appeared that Councilmember Wilder had two primary focal points during his postings and commentary online. These were the building of a community swimming pool and the holding of a fireworks event or demonstration. Councilmember Wilder would take informal polls on social media to ostensibly gauge citizen interest in either proposal. Councilmember Wilder addressed these items through commentary in various posts and online conversation chains. There were claims that Councilmember Wilder intentionally used the term "we" when discussing these matters in Facebook posts instead of the term "I" or some other singular term or personal pronoun. The claim stated that by using the term "we" rather than "I," Councilmember Wilder implied that the entire council was considering these two proposals as action items. While there were Facebook posts bearing the term "we," there was not evidence that Councilmember Wilder expressly implied that he was speaking on behalf of the council at those times. When interviewed, Councilmember Wilder admitted to at times using the term "we" when referring to potential initiatives, but he states that he never did so to imply that the subject matter was being considered by the entire town council. It was just a form of expression. Councilmember Wilder indicated that he only used "we" as a collective pronoun when gathering information for council decisions about fireworks locations. Councilmember Wilder stated that he understands and he does not have the power to bind the council or the town and has no signature authority to execute any legal documents for the town. Councilmember Wilder explained that a Facebook conversation about fireworks occurred that did not begin confrontationally and was actually more about celebrating the start of the war with Iran. The online conversation included several former Marines, including A.C. Hingler. Councilmember Wilder indicated that the online discussion covered several topics, including rising gas prices. Councilmember Wilder indicated that there were times when online comments came across like veiled threats, particularly when commenters referenced the carrying of concealed firearms or weapons. Councilmember Wilder says that though he is a former Marine and familiar with firearms, he is a Quaker and a pacifist and poses no harm to anyone. Councilmember Wilder stated that he can no longer find the posts as they had been taken down by someone. Councilmember Wilder submitted several screenshots of online postings to explain his position and perspective. These are included as exhibits. D, removal of online posts. There appears to have been a taking down of a posted exchange between Councilmember Wilder and citizen A.C. Hingler. This removal does not appear to be the act of Councilmember Wilder and was more likely done by the page administrator. Section E, findings. Councilmember Wilder did conduct informal polls regarding interest in a town-funded community pool and the holding of a town-funded fireworks event or demonstration. He conducted these polls and engaged in conversations about the proposals without direction from the council and without the express permission of the council. Online and in-person commentary, public comment period, was robust regarding these ideas or proposals. Certain witnesses expressed belief that these polls and the ensuing commentary made it seem as if the full council was taking these matters up as an agenda item and would be voting on them. There was also concern expressed that citizens might have been misled into thinking that tax or tax rate increases would ensue to pay for these proposals. Councilmember Wilder used the pronoun "we" when making points or engaging in discussions online. The use of the term versus using "I" could mislead readers into thinking the matter being discussed online was to be discussed by the full council. Even though Councilmember Wilder's use of the term appears not intended to confuse, it is reasonable to anticipate that such use of the term could lead to confusion. Councilmember Wilder regularly engaged with citizens and group members on Facebook. He admits to referring to at least one citizen as a Karen, a known pejorative. The investigation did not reveal Councilmember Wilder using profanity or vulgar language towards citizens. There is no evidence that Councilmember Wilder removed or took down a Facebook post or a responsive commentary. Section 3, free speech concerns. The First Amendment guarantees all citizens free speech rights. Though elected officials do not lose their First Amendment free speech rights while they are serving, they may also agree through conduct codes to perform their duties with decorum and behave in a reserved or controlled manner. Council members can discipline or censure a fellow elected official for online comments, but they cannot censor them or restrict their core duties. The U.S. Supreme Court has upheld the ability of governing bodies to formally censure members for speech. However, Disciplinary actions cannot violate First Amendment rights, such as banning an elected official from speaking, posting, or voting. Prohibiting or regulating speech based on its content will face strict scrutiny if challenged in court. By that same token, if a council member's social media page functions as a public forum used to discuss town business, the council member cannot engage in viewpoint discrimination by deleting comments or blocking users. The Supreme Court has made clear in Linkey versus Freed from 2004 that if an official is posting on a personal account and not using it for government business, it is less likely to be considered government action. But if the account is used to communicate official town information, it may be subject to stricter rules. A non-binding resolution of censure is a form of discipline, but it is a low form of such, as it does not affect a council member's salary or his board appointments or directly limit or prohibit his future actions. That being said, care should be taken to clarify what particular actions or behavior the council is censoring. References were included within the investigative report. They included excerpts from the Lewis Town Council Code of Ethics that are included. I can read those if the council wants me to, or I can just reference them.
You can reference them.
Okay. It also included the resolution 2020-001 of the Lewisville Town Council accepting the Code of Ethics and Policy that's dated October 14, 2010. And in that resolution, there are censure procedures which were included, which are being followed today. Exhibits were separately included, and this was respectfully submitted the 13th day of May, 2026 by Alan A. Andrews, Town Attorney.
Go ahead, get your sip of water. All right, thank you so much, Al. Folks, I wanted to have our attorney read that out. I think it was really good for transparency. I know many people are hearing little bits of information about what's been happening in Lewisville with the town council on Facebook, and I wanted to just give a nice platform to have a nice report. I think our attorney did a great job. It was a very thorough report that he did, and so I think it also helps to answer a few questions that may be lingering for many people at home about what can and can't happen and what should and shouldn't happen. I think the report is very transparent. So now I'll go ahead and ask from left to my right of any council members who want to have any witnesses or have their questions. We'll begin with Councilmember Franklin.
I have no witnesses that I want to call, obviously, and I really have. I'm not sure exactly how this goes, but Al, you may need to advise here.
Why don't we do this before we have testimony? Before any person is, they can be called, but when they come up, we'll swear them in like we normally do for when we're doing a quasi-judicial proceeding. So they will do that first. They'll be sworn in by Madam Clerk, and then you can ask your questions and they can answer. After the questions, the testimony is given, then they are subject to be cross-examined by Councilmember Wilder.
Right.
And so he will proceed with the cross-examination per the guidance that was given by the presiding officer, and then we shall proceed forward with other witnesses of that council member or testimony that the council member wants to give. I noticed a hand for a question, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I'd just like to add one more witness, seeing how he's here, Steve Thompson.
So when it's your time to present your case in chief, you can call whoever you want to call.
All right.
You don't have to reveal your witnesses in advance. When your turn comes, you will reveal who your witnesses are, then you will direct examine them, and then they are subject to cross-examination. Any questions about how that may proceed?
I think, Al, I understand that. Again, I have no witnesses that I want to call. At some point during the tonight's proceeding, I've got some things I'd like to say. I'm not sure if that's testimony. I'm not sure how it fits in.
So since you have been sworn,
Yes.
you are able to say what you will. You
Okay.
can say that now, or you
Okay.
can request to say that later.
All right. Well, thank you very much. That clarifies it much better for me. With that said, that as we look at what has been presented already in the report from Al, I'd like to remind my fellow council members that there's two things here, and they both sound very similar. There's censure, that's spelled C-E-N-S-U-R-E, and that's the action that is really before us tonight, and that's the action that should be focused more on the first part of this report. I think it's labeled 1, and then there's a 2 piece of the report. And then there's the word censor, C-E-N-S-O-R. And that is really what is happening in the second part of this report, and that is dealing with all the social media and so forth. I don't want to head down the road of censor. That is not appropriate at all under the situation. It gets off into a big, deep ditch involving First Amendment rights and things of that nature. However, I do want us to focus our actions and our discussions tonight on the word censure, S-E-N-S-U-R-E, because that is based upon what a person has done, what their actions have been, what that person has done that does not follow the decorum of a town council member. So with that being said, I'm done with my testimony at this point in time.
Councilmember Allen?
Thank you, Mayor. Regarding the actions that took place on March 5th, I have the Lewisville Town Council Code of Ethics printed out and here in front of me. And regarding this censure, we are referencing a few sections of the Code of Ethics that we feel have allegedly at this point been violated. And I'm not going to reference all of it for the sake of time, but I will point out a few points to highlight them toward Councilmember Wilder's actions. From Section 2, there is a bullet point stating that we should behave consistently and with respect toward everyone with whom they interact. Another bullet point states we should be treating other board members and the public with respect and honoring the opinions of others, even when the board members disagree with opinions. Another bullet point says showing respect for their offices and not behaving in ways that reflect badly on those offices. As we have listened to Attorney Andrews' report that detailed the events of March 5th, I think that as I see things, it should be clear that Councilmember Wilder did not treat his other board members, his peers, with respect, nor the public that was in the room that evening with respect. He also did not honor our opinions, even though we had differing opinions than him on the matters that were being discussed. That's okay for us to have opposing opinions. That's part of being humans and having debate and coming to resolutions. However, those opinions should be honored. The last thing I'll highlight during this portion of my time to speak is from Section 4 of the Town Council Code of Ethics. It says that council members should act as the essentially responsible citizens whom others can trust and respect. They should set a good example for others in the community, keeping in mind that trust and respect must continually be earned. And focusing on that for a moment and answering the question, why are we here tonight? We as a council certainly had the option to not formally address these actions. However, I think that it is incredibly important for the members of the public, for the town of Lewisville, to trust and respect the members of this council. And I feel that by not taking any kind of action on these topics here would jeopardize the trust and respect that this council works very hard to maintain.
Councilmember Gallagher?
I do not have any witnesses. I wasn't going to make any statement and just let the investigation report speak for itself since it was so thorough. But I do agree with Councilman Brady and certain things that I want to highlight from Section 2 of the Code of Ethics of the Lewisville Town Council, behaving consistently and with respect toward everyone with whom they interact. I think that was something that I highlighted that stuck out to me based on that briefing meeting that occurred, the incident that occurred. Showing respect for their offices and not behaving in ways that reflect badly on those offices. And Section 4, I'm repeating, I know, but I'm just one for emphasis. They should act as the especially responsible citizens whom others can trust and respect. They should set a good example for others in the community, keeping in mind that trust and respect must continually be earned. And I do want to note specifically the message that was sent in Councilman Wilder's actions on that day. The mistrust he felt for the staff members who did a very thorough, detailed presentation that took a lot of research, a lot of work, demonstrated their ability, and I feel he was extremely disrespectful and derogatory towards them. So that's one issue that I have of grave concern. And I might have other comments later as witnesses come forward, but I do not have a witness.
Should I go with a witness now, or should I wait till after Suzanne, or do I go at all?
You lead the proceedings. You can choose to do all council members, then yourself, or you can go in order, whichever way you choose.
Okay, I'll go after Councilmember Newsom. So you can go ahead, Pro Tem.
Thank you. Good evening. I would also like to say I concur with Councilmember Franklin that as someone who's worked for the town and someone who's seen so many councils gathered together over the years, I've never seen anything like what I saw that evening. It's so adamantly important. We do not all have to agree. We're not all here to be on the same page at all times, but we can certainly be adults about it and try to be respectful. And that's all I ask. I just want everyone to try to get along. We have a beautiful town to run. Let's do so in harmony. Thank you.
Councilmember Newsom.
It was determined sometime in the spring after some of the events in March that our social media policy needed to be rewritten. The attorney asked us for input. And I wrote him and I said, my bias is to utilize the extraordinary power and reach of social media to exchange reality-based information that will lead to more informed citizens and better decisions for the town. Mr. Wilder has been excoriated for discussing a town pool on social media. I attended the Runnymede annual meeting of their HOA and said that I had heard good things about their pool and I would like to discuss it with anybody who was willing to. Mr. Wilder did it on social media. I did it in person. Is there really a big difference in that? Maybe this is the 21st century and we harness the power of social media. And when I read the new policy, I don't see really anything that would contradict Mr. Wilder's posting except for the absence of the disclaimer statement. And this is the statement that we're supposed to put on any postings on social media. Quote, the views expressed here represent my personal opinion and do not represent the official position of the town of Lewisville. That would clarify things and hopefully prevent some of the confusion that occurs when people get on social media. In reference to the briefing meeting on March 5th, the investigator says Mr. Wilder's actions were not within decorum. He could have prepared himself to receive information he did not agree with. In a sense, Mr. Wilder did exactly that. Note that Mr. Wilder did not raise his voice. He did not use profanity. He did not make racial statements. He did not make sexually inappropriate statements. He did not get into anybody's personal space. He simply left the room abruptly. It has been pointed out to me that in anger management, this is something that you are taught to do from online, and I quote, change your environment. Take a brief physical timeout by stepping away from the situation or or going for a brisk walk. That's what he did. If we censure Mr. Wilder, we are setting a standard of behavior which has been violated a total of 6 times by folks sitting up here, and we're setting a standard that we are not meeting ourselves.
Thank you. So for my time, I'm first just going to point to one thing on the last part of our attorney's report for the free speech concerns. Just for a point of record, I do think for many citizens who are at home on Facebook, it's a question that has been out there, but just want to reinforce, council members can discipline or censure a fellow elected official for online comments. So of course, you can't censor someone. That's a freedom of speech violation, but we could censure our council member if we felt that there was a violation of social media. Is that right, Town Attorney?
And because those words are confusing and hard to say, if you so choose,
my mouth is dry right now too. Yeah, go ahead. That's why it's hard to say.
Wasn't directed to you.
Okay,
directly.
go ahead.
You could use the word admonish, which means essentially the same as censure. Censure is the proper word. Censor is a root word of censorship. So these two words are confusing, and they are completely different verbs. But a censure is a admonishment, and that's what it represents, where a censor or censorship is a prohibition.
Thank you. So just wanted to make that clear for any folks at home who are wondering how does free speech overlap with our code of ethics policy and our social media policy. It is the council's decision to decide what kind of conduct they deem acceptable, whether it's in person, on Facebook, on Instagram. Conduct is conduct. And if the violation happens, it can happen anywhere. So you can, but just to make that clear, just for folks, but today, the item that we're focusing on is the March 5th meeting, just to eliminate any confusion and to make it more crystal clear, but just for folks at home who are wondering. After that, I have a request. There are a few citizens of Lewisville who are in here. I would like to, didn't want to put anyone on the spot. If there's anyone in the room who would like to say anything, who was there that day, you can feel free to raise your hand. I won't say your name. If you're not wanting to say anything at all, that's fine. Awesome. For our town manager, Stacy, I would like to take a second. One thing about your role is that I'm still learning all that you do. I have so much respect for your experience, your education, your background, your integrity from the moment I've met you. But when it comes to the idea of putting together a solution for a pool, I want to give some clarity for that. For our town, we had a retreat as a council where we came together to discuss ideas that we might want to implement for this term. And the idea that was, one idea that was on the vision board was to have a community pool. Now, there were two visions for a pool, two separate ideas. One was to have a pool that we plan and save for probably 10, 15 years or so. And then there was one vision for a pool in the ground next year. So the idea to have a pool vision, maybe a 10-year, 15-year vision, that got 4 votes from the council. That was something that we thought at one time might be something to look forward to. There's a debate on if there's a need for a pool right now. Who's to say? But I don't think it would be hard to say, hey, let's start to plan for 10 to 15 years out financially. You know, let's not make any rash decisions. Of course, there will be more growth in the town of Lewisville. Maybe it'll make more sense in a decade. So let's just have ourselves prepared for that. That was my idea, honestly, folks, and that was a vision that I from council members Wilder's idea of the pool, which wasn't really my idea. I wanted to meet him halfway. I wanted to say, hey, I don't want to just say no. I don't think a pool is that big of a priority, but as a public works project for 10 to 15 years, maybe it's not a terrible idea. So that had 4 votes, but the 3 was the referendum. The idea of putting a referendum on the ballot for this year for our citizens to decide on a huge tax hike to have a pool in the ground next year. And so that had 3 votes, and with that being said, we had agreed as a council, if it got 3 stars at the time, we would still let our staff do the investigation, still do the research. So just to paint the picture for everyone who was here listening, our council, at that point, Councilmember Wilder, I believe maybe Councilmember Newsom, had our staff put together a little presentation. What it would, I'm sorry, was it not you?
Not involved in that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Well, the 3 votes, were you one of the 3 votes that voted for referendum on that retreat?
I do not remember that,
I
Mr. Mayor.
think you were. You were. But, so the 3 members who were at the time voted to put that on at that time, that happened. And so our staff put together a presentation of what it would take, the costs and all that. So I would like to have our town manager, if you could just kind of briefly describe what you went through putting that report together and the research that you did from your expert level.
Sure. So I need to be sworn in.
Oh, I'm so
Yep.
sorry, Cuba. So I put you on the spot.
That's okay. Angie's on top of it.
For the testimony that you are about to provide, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
So as town government, the way that we generally go about doing things is when we have an item before us that comes as an idea at a council retreat. It's like a planning retreat, future visioning. What would this council like to get accomplished in their term? A bond referendum for a community pool was one of those items that did get 3 votes. And so the direction was to staff, well, we'll take those for 3 votes, do a presentation, come back to us with your research, so then we can further determine as a council if we want to pursue this idea or this vision that came out of retreat. So we took that direction as a team, myself, Pam, our finance director, John Hanna, our assistant town manager and public works director, and Angie Lord, our town clerk, got together, put our heads together. We kind of divided and conquered. Angie was very familiar with the Board of Elections, and so she spoke with those individuals as far as timelines of what timeline we would have to follow in order to get that bond referendum on the ballot for November, and if there were any fees involved for that. Pam Arell is very experienced in speaking with the Local Government Commission. That is who we, as a governing entity, have to go through by law in the state of North Carolina for financing of any sort. They have to approve us for financing. And we specifically asked them what is involved with a bond referendum, because that is the idea that came out of the retreat, a bond referendum for the pool. So Pam gathered information. There was an email that was sent. From that, we gathered that you would have to go through design, because you would have to have an engineer's estimated cost of construction in order for you to understand, as a council, as a town, exactly how much you would have to raise your tax rate in order for that to go on for a question to go on the bond for a bond referendum, or excuse me, on the ballot for a bond referendum.
So what you're saying is we couldn't just put it on a question, do you want a pool? We have to put a question on how the pool is getting paid for. Is that what you're saying?
Right, for a bond referendum.
Right,
That
right.
that is our understanding, yes, from the Local Government Commission. So lastly, John Hanna and myself both spoke with individuals from the town of Kernersville and Thomasville, I believe. Kernersville, more importantly, is the kind of pilot pool that we used, because they actually have shovels in the ground. And just in the month of March, their Board of Aldermen had approved their construction project for a pool. That project included a facility that had about 2 meeting spaces that residents could rent for events, birthday parties, if they decided to have swim meets, those kinds of things. A couple of offices, and then the rest of the building was specifically for bathrooms, showers, changing rooms that would be required for a public pool. The pool itself had an occupancy of 300. We, as a staff, thought that that was appropriate for a town of our size to have a pool that with lanes, swim lanes, those kinds of things, so that the pool could be utilized for the full extent. Parking lot included, grading included, and then they gave us the cost for their pool, and so that is where we came up with the final estimated cost of a hypothetical project that if the town wanted to do something very, very similar to that, we felt that the town of Kernersville's pool was appropriate, something similar to what the town of Lewisville would build, because the Kernersville actually took their ideas from Thomasville, the city of Thomasville. So in conversations with those three entities, the Board of Elections, the Local Government Commission, and the town of Kernersville, that is where we came up with our presentation for the town council on March 5th.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
I have one question for our finance officer, Pam. Thank you. Sorry to put you on the spot, Pam.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Thank you, Pam. So just for our folks at home and just for informational purposes, what is 1 cent on the tax dollar or the tax rate bring in for the town of Lewisville as of right now?
1 cent brings in approximately $267,000.
Okay. So I guess it's fair to say if we were going to put a referendum on the ballot for a pool to be put into place, we're looking at how do we get to 12 million? If you could do that rough math, I'm sorry, or I can do it. Or someone at home can do it.
$44.94.
So you're saying to have a referendum on the ballot, which Councilmember Wilder was pushing for our residents, we were going to ask them to have a 44-cent increase on their pool based at it being $12 million.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, how about if it's $6 million? I guess we cut it in half. What is 22 cents probably? Yeah, you don't have to do that. Yeah, we'll say 22 cents.
22 cents.
So on a best case scenario for the pool, $6 million, we're going to ask our citizens for a 22-cent tax hike. So 22 plus 18 equals 40 cents. So I want to ask the council, based on a pool that costs $6 million, are there 4 council members that would have moved forward with a pool at $6 million? Do we have 4 members?
Can
I'm sorry.
can we let me speak too before we have a vote?
No, I'm sorry. No, it's not a vote, but I'm just asking any council members. Are there any council members who would have moved forward with a pool if it cost $6 million? You can raise your hand.
I would have wanted more information about what the town wants. For
Mayor, I
that,
think
even
it's
for
very
6 million.
inappropriate. I don't know whether to raise my hand or not raise my hand. I don't think this polling is appropriate.
No, okay, I'm sorry. I'm letting the folks at home, our citizens understand. I'm assuming, and maybe if I'm wrong, I don't think there are 4 members on the council who would have approved a 22-cent tax hike. That's what I'm asking for people to say we wouldn't have done. I hope that's pretty obvious. I wouldn't have done that. So, or the $12 million pool or $6 million pool, either way, there was not a consensus for the council. So let the record show that that was not, the price of the pool was not really the issue for gathering a consensus on the council. So just wanted to say that there. And with that being said, I'm done.
I would say your numbers are wrong.
Members,
So that's why we can't have a vote.
the one thing I want to caution is we only had witnesses just now, but if you reflect back on the script in our discussions, we considered a approach of someone testifying and then there being an ability for cross-examination. And then at the conclusion of that set of exchanges.
Discussion.
Then there would be an opportunity for Councilmember Wilder to do direct presentation of evidence, and on his part, you can deviate, but that's just one idea. We just had 2 witnesses, total of 3 because you testified, and there could be an opportunity for cross-examination.
Okay, sure.
So I just,
Yeah, sure, that's totally fine, thank you. Well, that's all I have.
so are you offering to Councilmember Wilder the opportunity for
Yes.
cross-examination?
Yes, I am.
So,
I apologize.
kind of looking at the
Councilmember-
bottom of.
My apologies. I'm
page-
sorry.
That's okay.
Councilmember Wilder, you can go ahead with your cross.
All right, let me address 2 really quick, small issues. I've heard several references to me calling citizens Karens. I tried to put this in context during Al's investigation. He interviewed me, and I still see it coming up that I called A.C. Hangler a Karen. I did not call him a Karen. I'm a Marine. If I was going to call him a name, it wouldn't be Karen. I mean, if I wanted to be mean about it, that I would use Marine Corps terminology, which is not for the general public. I was not upset at A.C. Hangler. When I used Karen, I had talked to Forsyth Country Day. They had a large campus, and it fit the criteria to have a fireworks. You have to have a fallout area. I'm learning as you go about fireworks. And I talked to their athletic director, and he seemed, in a few conversations, to be very positive. Yeah, we worked with Lewisville before, and I was running out of time. If I wanted to get fireworks for the 250th anniversary of this nation, there was only so many weeks, and so I was waiting on Forsyth Country Day to give me a quote on how much a fee to use their campus. They got back with me late after I repeatedly called the athletic director, and he was very nice. And in fact, I think it was the headmaster that sent a response. He was very nice. He said they would respectfully decline. And I was giving an update to my fireworks post on Facebook. Here's where we are, Forsyth Country Day, which was the only site we had, tangible site that met all the criteria. That was the only site we had. It fell through because they respectfully declined. And I said, never underestimate the power of Karens. Somebody at Forsyth Country Day put the kibosh on that whole idea of using their campus. I don't have any names, but instead of telling us what it's going to cost that I could bring to council and get the approval for the fireworks, somebody said no. 2, the monster cans. I crush 80% of my aluminum cans. Out of habit. It's something I do. It's not a show of strength. Anybody in this room can crush an aluminum can. It started out when my dad, he used to drink Schlitz beer, and it came in a steel can. And if you could crunch a steel can, it took a man. So I guess it just it's a matter of habit. Marines crush the beer cans on their forehead. It's just a novelty. I don't remember crushing a can. I probably did. It was probably empty. So let's get back to. Well, I prepared something to read. Do I just start from there and then call witnesses?
So they could proceed in 2 ways. I didn't know if you wanted a cross-examination opportunity or direct testimony. They come very close together.
That's my mistake, too. I'm sorry. Councilman Wilder, I should have given you a chance to cross myself, our town manager, our finance manager, and those are 3, yeah. And I went too fast. So you can cross us, or if you don't want to, you can start your presentation, which I think you might have already done.
I would like to do my presentation
Okay.
And if Stacy or Pam or anybody else has any problems with what I'm saying, they have every right to object to what I'm saying.
I
But
think
I
he said he
did
wants
put
to
this
start his
together, and in the process, do we have to re-swear them in?
No, you can go ahead and just proceed.
Okay. All right. I wanted to thank everybody for coming out here. I want to tell you, as the person being censured, I am in good company. Abraham Lincoln was censured for statements he made on the floor of Congress. His comments were protesting the actions taken by our president at the time, James K. Polk. He claimed, and he correctly claimed, that the U.S. cavalry had been sent to Texas to instigate a war. Lincoln knew Polk was trying to spill American blood, so he had the excuse he needed to start the Mexican-American War. The Mexican-American War was just a land grab. Of course, Lincoln went on to become president and was reelected, if only that story ended there. I'm trying to be funny. One thing I will not post on Facebook is anytime I go to a theater. It's a joke. Yeah, it didn't end well for Abraham Lincoln. I guess I got to know my crowd. But that's me. That's me. On March 5th, Stacy and John made their presentation, and I was not aware that Pam was part of that presentation, but you can just add Pam to that name, to that list of names. They brought to council a bloated $12 million project. North Wilkesboro removed and replaced their pool for $6 million. We still, even if we went with North Wilkesboro's pool, we had to make a field trip up there to see if it was big enough. It's a physical pool. It's active as we speak. So there could be issues with that pool that doesn't work well for Lewisville, but we never got to that point, to March 5th, and Censure put the kibosh on the pool. I was using the wrong figure for how much taxes were generated by 1 cent of tax. I was using 177. It's actually more, as you just heard. Stacy Tolbert said that it would take $144,000 a year to manage the pool. That's the actual cost to keep the pool going through the summer season. That comes out to less than a half a penny. If I'm spitballing the math here, so don't hold me to it. I'm from Alabama. I'm trying to be funny. But it's a half a penny. But it fails to mention that the fees that we generate from attendance, from pools, from, whatever the daily admission fee was or the seasonal admission fee, we come off that $144,000. We had some criteria that we wouldn't have with our pool, because North Wilkesboro demoed their existing pool. They already had a pool, and apparently it worked well for them because they wanted another pool. They ripped out, and there's tangible cost with the demolition of a pool. It's a lot of concrete to haul off. And then they built another pool because apparently the citizens of North Wilkesboro liked having a pool. We would not have to remove an existing pool. Where I plan on putting it is somewhere where we already own the land, and Mary Alice Warren Community Center has several flat spaces that would accommodate a pool. And flat spaces are important because you don't want to have to do a lot of grading. I am an expert in construction, every aspect of construction. That's all I've ever done. in my entire life, with the exception of being in the Marine Corps, but I was a combat engineer, which is the construction end of the Marine Corps. So Stacy, Pam, John proposed a cost that was double what I thought we needed to do. And what I asked for was not what I got. Their only solution was to raise taxes to pay for the pool. I had other ideas about how we could raise the money, pool the money, and I was getting frustrated by the answers I was getting. For example, we have a single roundabout that we pay all that money up front, and we get 80% of that money back. It was $4 million, plus or minus? Is that about what it is? Yeah, so we're going to get like 80% of that back, 3.5-ish. You could add that to the pool, which is more than half. But I was told that it was already committed to the Great Wagon Trail. But there are $10 million in the general fund. If the Great Wagon Trail is such a great idea, why not take that money out of the general fund if it's that great of an idea? And I never really understood the lift station. I never understood why it was so important to run it through on the last meeting of the last outgoing council when you have a wholesale change order. I've been told we'll get paid back by 2030. It's not going to serve anybody. I wanted to rebid that project because I know from my experience coordinating the bid process for UNC School of the Arts, you can save a lot of money. I didn't say so at the November town council meeting, but it was close to worst case scenario, $1 million. Best case scenario, $2 million plus. I know this because I bid packages on a mechanical package on our res hall, and it was over budget. And I sought out 2 contractors. I called 2 suppliers. I said, who can do the job? Who's qualified to do the job, and who's hungry? And those 2 contractors were low, and we saved $1.2 million. That is a hard fact. I called one contractor qualified to do a lift station. They're over in East Bend. The company's name is Hennings Construction. You might have noticed Hennings Construction on Metal Arc Drive. They're doing some huge utility work there. They had not received an invitation. They didn't know that we were putting in a lift station. And where you usually get your best price is by contractors that are closest to the project. But we pushed it through, and we've got all this money tied up, and I'm still, Pam, can you tell me how the money works? I mean, we don't have any money coming out of our general fund for the lift station?
I'm sorry, I do have one quick question. Our attorney, is the council able to make any stipulations of keeping the comments on the report that we're talking about today, just for the sake of the time of our residents?
Okay, so I think that if something relates to the incidents that were in the report, that's appropriate for here. If something relates to something that's happened since the report has happened, I think we agree that that's beyond the pale. But if I were you, I would give caution, but latitude. So maybe you try to explain so it doesn't seem to be misinterpreted, that you're preventing something that you're afraid of.
Sure.
But that you clarify what you're trying to propose.
Gotcha. Councilmember Wilder, I do care about your free speech, and I care about your expertise and your knowledge in various areas. Today, we are here to discuss one particular item here, and we would love to stay on that topic if possible, but we can continue the conversations around other concerns that you have around the town's decisions at any date in the future. But would it be okay to talk about the report and the topic on the agenda.
How about I let you know what I'm trying to do with this prepared statement here
My
is to
apologies.
set the mindset of March 5th when I'm sitting at the table and I'm listening to the presentation. This is what's going through my mind. I'm looking at a project that is twice as much as I think it will cost. I'm looking at no idea on where to get blocks of money, even a small amount of money from the general fund with just an amendment to the fund. All I hear is we'd have to raise taxes, we'd have to raise taxes, we'd have to raise taxes. And then when we moved on to putting it on the bond referendum, I wanted to put it on the bond referendum because that puts the decision-making power in the citizens of Lewisville and let them decide. But I watched that all disappear in about, I've got a recording of the actual meeting on my phone and a flash drive. And the parts of you have some small introductory stuff for the council meeting that happens every meeting. And then you get into Stacy's presentation and John's presentation. And then at minute 47, I think even my storming out of the room was over and done. And one of the most remarkable surprises for me is that my voice wasn't raised. Billy's voice was louder than mine, but Billy's voice didn't rise to the level of yelling or beyond civility. And I've heard from just about everybody that my conduct was so absurd that it warrants all of this, which, you know, I want to play the whole 47 minutes. I don't want to run from this problem. Marines don't run. But here we are. We are wasting the town's money. And I think we're just spitballing again with the sheriffs back here. Are they on the clock? I think so. And you got Al's time. We aren't getting anything. I don't understand. We work for free. I'm off on a tangent. Also trying to be funny. This is going to be a running gag. But, you know, it's a bloated project, and it's easy for Stacy and John to put on a presentation and sound like they know what they're talking about. And with all these other characters, I don't know what Fred does for a living. He might be a construction expert. But I know when I'm being railroaded, and I know that I could walk somebody through this process and lead them wherever I want to go, especially if they don't have experience in construction. I feel like the goal was to kill this project, and that's what I didn't like, and that's why I got upset. And I really care deeply about this project because I knocked on 500 doors. I asked practically everybody, what do they feel about fireworks? What do they feel about the pool? My background on this pool, why I'm so deeply attached to this pool, is I learned how to swim in a community pool. And when I was in the Marine Corps, I was a water safety survival instructor. I taught Marines how to swim, that we would run them off the platform, 12 at a time, 16 at a time, and my job was to swim down to the bottom of the pool, grab them by the collar, and take them to the side of the pool. Then I would spend weeks at night on my own time trying to teach them how to float for like 10 minutes and turn their uniforms into flotation devices. But the common thread with those people not knowing how to swim was access to a community pool. So bringing a community pool to Lewisville would give our children a chance to learn how to swim and have fun. And if you put a 3-meter board, diving board on there, you don't have to advertise it. It will advertise itself. You know what a 3-meter board is? It's about as tall as this ceiling grid here. None of our pools, none of our neighborhood pools have a diving board. They're too hot to get in now because they're only 6 foot deep. I wanted to make Lewisville a better place, and I am running into so many obstacles. It is frustration on an exponent of 10. And I do remove myself from the room because it's my only defense. Trust me, if I stayed in that room and kept getting worked up, we would have something to talk about. Because I'm a Marine first, and a Quaker second. Quaker always wins, always wins. Who do we interview already? Who's already? So Stacy, you've already put testimony. I just had some questions. I would like to ask you why you didn't call me, because I had done all the research and I'm an expert in construction. I tell everybody that. I'm a know-it-all. But nobody called me. I sent you an email specifically referencing a $6 million pool. Did it occur to you to ask me why my pool version was half the price of your pool version?
No, sir, you had mentioned in other prior meetings or conversations that you were going off of the North Wilkesboro pool. We were trying to look at a pool where all facilities would be accounted for, including a building, a parking lot, the bathroom facilities, all of those things. We did not feel that the Wilkesboro pool was apples to apples for what the town of Lewisville would have to do, because those facilities for Wilkesboro was already existing. They did not have to pay for those. The $6 million simply paid for the destruction of the pool and then a reinstallation of a new pool. Not grading, not site work, not parking lot, and not a facility. The town of Kernersville is going through that currently, and in the exact moment that we were doing the research is why we chose as a staff to reach out to Kernersville.
Yeah. I had an opportunity to meet a Kernersville alderman. He's a real estate appraiser, and we're trying to sell a house. And I was just there to make sure he got into the house. That was my job, unlock the door. But when he left, I shook his hand, and I jokingly said, "You might not want to wash that hand. I'm a councilman for Lewisville." And he goes, "Well, you might not want to wash your hand because I'm an alderman in Kernersville." And I said, "Well, I've seen your request for," it was 10.3 million request for qualifications that I had in my position at one time. I shared it, and I said, "How's it going over there?" Everybody over here acts like I'm sacrificing goats in my backyard. I'm just like the pariah of the neighborhood, of the town. And he goes, "The only people that are against a community pool are the people that already belong to a pool." And I knew he was right. I see it. I see it. But that goes to I don't know if we want to sit here and listen to 47 minutes of the video of the meeting, but it will show that I was not yelling. And I believe that's what our biggest complaint here is, that I was yelling at some point. And the difficulty I got in finding this recording, I was told by Angie at our last meeting or maybe the meeting before that, that it's standard procedure after the minutes are approved, to destroy the recording that we have of every meeting. I don't see why we can't just store those and hold on to them for a period of time till it becomes obvious we don't need them. But obviously, the minutes of the meeting wouldn't reflect whether I was yelling or not. But the recording will. I mean, there's no arguing with the recording. You might have different opinions of the recording. I have a biased opinion. But then, I talked to Al. I said, I want a recording. I want the recording. And they hired some James Bond of IT to go into Angie's computer and find where she, put it in the trash, I guess. We have trash on our desktop. But got it back. But then Stacy calls me and she says, well, you're going to have to bring your own flash drive. It's too big a file to send. You're going to have to bring your own flash drive because Lewisville doesn't have enough money to provide flash drives. And I bought my flash drives 3 for $10. But I brought my flash drive down here and I listened to it. I should have listened to it in the morning rather than at 12 o'clock at night because I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep at all. I take this stuff personally. But the biggest surprise was I wasn't yelling. Let's see, where did I leave off? I got off on a tangent. Can we start calling witnesses now, just
Sure.
individually?
It's your time, it's your floor.
Okay. Let's go down. Let's see who we got. Just notes here. So I got Jerry. Jerry, here's my first witness. I'm gonna read through these and I'm gonna edit them as we go because some of these really, as I wrote these down, I wrote them down, everything I could think of, and I didn't get a chance to edit it. But one of the first things we learned at town council is that if it didn't happen in a text or an email, it didn't happen. That was told to all of us. I was going to ask Jerry, do you remember hearing that from Al? Al's just doing his job.
I'm a little confused about.
So
I'm asking you.
Yes.
Do you recall Al telling us all that if it didn't happen in a text or an email, it didn't
I
happen?
don't remember that specifically, no.
Anybody? Everybody, nobody remembers any of that? I remember it like it was yesterday. Hell, it was two meetings ago that it was brought up again.
How about assume we did and then make the point about it?
Okay. Well, first off, Al goes on to further explain that it leaves you plausible liability. So if you say something, if you overstep your bounds, you can deny it ever happened. You won't ever see me plausibly denying anything. If it didn't happen, I will tell you. But if I said something, even if it was wrong, I would tell you, yeah, I said that. And I might even, if I was wrong and I realized I was wrong, I would tell you, yes, I said that and I was wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. But, Jerry, do we speak on the phone occasionally? Some of these are softball questions.
We have spoken a few times, yes.
Okay. You think it's necessary for us to speak on the phone?
No?
You don't think it's necessary to do the town's business?
I don't think it's necessary. I think that sometimes, council members do speak to one another on particular issues, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Do I think it's necessary? Sometimes it's appropriate.
necessary and appropriate, but you and Susan and I couldn't have gone over to that person's house if we hadn't communicated over our phone to talk about an issue a citizen had.
I think that was text, I do believe. But whatever.
Okay, text,
Yeah.
phone call,
Right,
communications.
yes.
And we have spoken on the phone.
Yes, we have.
Would you agree that it's essential to cut, that's a redundant question. Did I talk about the community pool while we were running for office? Just
Excuse
in
me?
general? Did I talk about, we met and we did, I told you that, I told all of us, all the Democrats that I'm getting a lot of positive feedback on the pool. I want to run on this issue. I was talking about a pool back before I was elected. Did I mention bringing back the fireworks? And I can reference this back to our candidates forum, if you don't recall.
No, I do remember the pool being one of your champion issues, as well as fireworks. Yes, I do recall.
Were you interviewed by Al as part of this investigation?
No, I was not.
Were you in the room?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Would you expect everybody in the room to be interviewed as part of this investigation?
Well, I wasn't sure how it was going to take place. I mean, and that was up to the attorney, his determination of who he wanted to call. I guess it would be too untimely to ask everybody to be a witness, but that was his choice.
Have you seen my post online?
I don't know which post you're referring to.
There are quite a few. And plus, I think they're part of the evidence here. I think
If you're
some of the-
talking about the current post, I don't think that's relevant to what we're talking about today, because,
I think he means the posts that are part of the investigation that Al gave us,
oh,
those posts.
yes,
Okay.
yes, I did.
And were there any that you saw that were offensive?
You're talking about those that were in terms of the investigation that the attorney, those exhibits?
Yeah.
Those specific exhibits?
Yeah. Yeah, you can just limit it to that.
Some of them were a little, it seemed like a personal battle going on between you and certain residents. But I also saw the notation that some of the posts were taken down, and it wasn't you who had taken it down, it was the administrator. So that's why the leaning was in the way I looked at the investigation, the report, was that it was not as clear-cut for the social media piece of this censure, this censure process, that it was more clear-cut in terms of the ethics policy and the violation of that. That I do feel that was the message, the gist of what the report showed.
Anything specific?
In terms of,
Anything that stuck in your mind, like
from the,
anything? I don't even recall seeing an instance where I said "we" in any of my communications. I believe it might have been my email to the fireworks contractor in Ohio, but I haven't re-looked at that email, but it's just a collective pronoun, that's all it is. But did you see anything? Did I any profanity, or did I threaten anybody?
it didn't seem that you threatened anybody in any of those posts, no.
Okay. Do you think it's appropriate to destroy recordings of the meetings, our town meetings?
I would leave that up to the policy of the town. It's not certainly my area of expertise.
Now, would you agree that the recording you could tell more from a recording? I'm not sure what Angie's minutes saw about the details that were part of Stacy and John and Pam's presentation, but the recording, you can go back and listen to it again. I don't know if Angie's note-taking was like par excellence. It might have been, but you could not. The importance of keeping these, this is a really good example of why you need to keep the recordings. Because
Well, I'm certainly not an expert in terms of the procedures of the town clerk. You
Okay.
know, she's the expert on that. She went to school for that. I did not,
Okay,
so I'm not sure.
well, that's all I wanted to ask.
Okay.
I got Brady Allen down here, but I think we can skip Brady because it's basically the same questions I asked Jerry. Well, I've already talked to Stacy. I think I was pretty clear on what all that was. Can we skip to Steve? Because Steve might want to leave early.
Are you attempting to call a witness?
Yeah, I thought that's what I was doing.
Yeah, you go ahead and call your witness.
What's Steve's name?
Steve Thompson.
And we'll have our clerk swear Steve in.
Thank you. Do you swear that the testimony you will give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
I do.
Steve, you attended our retreat.
Yes.
You quietly sat in the back of the room for 2 days,
Mhm.
and we're on, was it a Saturday, the last day? And we came to the end of our meeting, and we said, for the good of the order, which you get an opportunity to say whatever it is that you want, it's for the good of the meeting. And I speak for the council people, we've been in there for 2 days, I think we were all ready to go. And Steve had been sitting on something he wanted to say, and he stood up in the back, and he was visibly upset. And I could see he was visibly upset. And I wanted to make sure that I wanted to hear what he was wanting to say, but everybody wants to go home. And I made arrangements to have a beer with Steve, and I think we've talked through all those things.
Well, actually, there was no for the good of the order at that. But after y'all adjourned, I went off on you and gave my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I'm very opinionated. And yes, we've had multiple beers since then, and, you know, you're a Democrat, I'm very conservative. We don't agree on a lot, but I can be friends with anybody.
There are no two people in this room right now further apart politically than Steve and I. But we had a beer, and I enjoy Steve's company. I certainly hope he enjoys my company, and we talk about everything. But Steve got upset. My point is, Steve got upset, and Steve, I think your term was you went off.
Yep.
Okay, and another town council person said, I wouldn't let Steve talk to you like that. And I said, well, he's just upset. I said, I'll go talk to him. And then I met you outside, and we made arrangements to go get a beer. And he had some points to make, and I listened to him. I don't care what party affiliation you are. I want to hear your concerns. I invited everybody to this meeting on a Facebook post late last week, and I said, regardless of whether you're pro or con, come on out and see how the sausage is made. But I just wanted to say, since then, we've gone out and had beers, and we enjoy each other's company, but Steve lost his temper. I lost my temper. Frank over here at the same, I don't have any further questions for you. I wasn't even going to call you, but you showed up. Fred, can I call Fred next?
Sir?
Okay, at the same retreat.
Okay, yes.
At the same retreat, Jeff Zanger's name was mentioned, and you got visibly upset, and you had to get up and walk around. We all know why Jeff Zanger gets you upset. And would you care to tell anybody why it gets you so upset?
Matt, I do not remember Jeff Zinger's name being brought up at our retreat at all.
Well, Billy brought it to everybody's attention when he said, does he get you that upset? Do you have to get up and walk around? And
I have no recollection of what you're talking about, Matt.
Okay.
Any of the other members that were there at the retreat can remind me of what you're speaking of, I'd be glad to listen.
am I the only one that remembers that?
Once again, how about assume we remember it and then make the point?
All right, I'm going to assume we remember it and make a point. My point being, Frank gets upset. He doesn't voice anything. I didn't hear him get up and,
I'm sorry, Councilman Wilder, our council member's name is Fred Franklin.
what did I say?
He's one of the longest running council members in the town's history. You keep calling him Frank. You've been doing it for months. His name is Fred.
Fred, okay, my bad. I'm horrible with names. My apologies.
No problem. I accept it.
But, okay, Councilman Franklin, he does get upset. We're not immune to normalcy. That's all I wanted to bring up. And I would, it's not part of this investigation, so I'm not going to say it. Stacy, can I talk to Stacy Howard? Okay. Have you ever gotten upset at a meeting?
Probably, but I didn't get up and storm out of the room,
You-
and of course you can.
But you raise your voice.
I'm Greek, we're just naturally loud.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, if you say anything about cutting back on the band events or increasing the grant money,
The only thing I get upset about, Mac, is you seem to think there's an endless supply of money in Lewisville. And yes, I'm passionate about protecting your tax dollar. That's why you voted me in. That's why I got the most votes. Now, I was trying not to be loud, but I'm making sure everybody can hear me.
no, I'm not trying to make you loud to show everybody what I'm talking about. My point is, everybody on this town council, Steve is a previous town councilman, Jeff Zanger on a Zoom, he's our state representative, and he did something obscene on a Zoom meeting because he did not get his decision on a Zoom. He's our state legislator. We all get upset. So why am I being singled out?
Mr. Wilder, can we please stay on topic?
Yeah, so Matt, right now,
You're
is your,
talking about another
I'm
politician
a-
that's not affiliated with the town any longer as far as serving.
He's just a politician that loses his temper. I'm not
That's
the...
hearsay, sir. Can you please just...
No,
answer the
there's a
question?
photo of him grabbing his testicles.
so,
I think other people have seen that meeting, and a picture's not always what it's worth, and I'm not getting into that. I'm not a lawyer. I know you've been watching a lot of Perry Mason, but can we please just move on with this?
It's not Perry Mason, it's on the internet. So, that was my point. Do we get upset? My point wasn't to make you upset. It was just to get the facts out that I've never seen Suzanne upset. I've known her for 17 years. I mean, the only other person I've known longer than Suzanne is my wife, Kathy. And she's, and,
We've never played golf.
okay, we have never played golf. So, would you guys like to hear the recording of where I raised my temper? No. You sure? You don't want to hang out here for another 47 minutes? Absolutely not. Well, hey, I tell you what, I'll make it really short. Why don't you guys go ahead and vote, and let's get it out of here.
so right now, if you're done with your presentation, I want to make sure this is our first time in this process. So may I have a motion to close testimony?
So moved.
Motion from Councilmember Fred Franklin to close testimony.
I second.
Second from Councilmember Jerry Gallagher. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, testimony is closed. Thank you. Council members, the time has now come for us to receive any motions and debate the same. I remind you that motion for a non-binding resolution of censure must be stated clearly for the record. Before we go, I do want to have some debate, not long debate, but I just have a few things I need to get addressed for the record. So I'm going to start the debate, if that's okay for you guys.
Mr. Mayor,
Oh,
I think
sorry.
you were saying to us that you wanted a motion and a second that would allow debate. I think that's what I heard you say you wanted.
Okay, my apologies. May I have
Okay.
a motion to start the debate?
It's not necessarily a motion to start the debate, Mayor, but I am making a motion
Okay.
for a non-binding resolution of censure of Councilmember Mac Wilder, for his actions that occurred during the March 5th, 2026 briefing and action meeting of the Lewisville Town Council. Specifically, let this motion reflect that Councilmember Wilder committed violations of the Lewisville Town Council Code of Ethics, Section 2, Section 3B, and Section 4, as presented in Section 1, C, the findings of the censure investigation regarding Lewisville Councilmember Mac Wilder that was prepared and dated May the 13th, 2026 by our attorney, that was previously admitted into evidence earlier tonight and that has been made available for public inspection.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Franklin.
And I'll second that motion.
We have a motion from Councilmember Franklin and a second from Councilmember Brady Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor, I believe we're supposed to debate before we
Well, yeah, I'm
vote
so sorry, guys. I'm-
procedurally.
Yeah, thank you, guys. This is the first time for this process. Thank you, Councilmember Allen. So I would like to go into the debate, guys. I just had really a few questions, honestly. I think we've had enough time here. But Councilmember Wilder, one thing that you said is that it's very important for the children to be able to have access. You really seem to take a righteous standpoint on this position of children being able to be able to swim. And so when you were given the idea from our staff and from myself that we could fund swim lessons, if you want to attack that issue, we could fund swim lessons or rent, one of our pools in the area for kids to use without having to go to buying a whole pool. When that idea was brought to you, what was your response?
I didn't like that idea.
Why not? Why wouldn't it allow kids to do what you said you cared about them doing?
I mean, I was okay as a stopgap measure until we got our pool built. I want to clarify something that you said. Waiting 10 to 15 years to save the money for the pool, you can't save that much money because escalation will clean your clock. We will never build the pool if we take 10 to 15 years. Plus, 10 to 15 years, if you add 10 to 15 years on all those kids clinging to their parents' legs, and when I'm talking about a pool, those kids will be voting age by the time that pool gets built.
All right, thank you. To our town manager, I actually was not aware that we had an IT professional to come to retrieve a recording for this procedure, a recording that honestly is not that substantial to our votes. Did we have any costs with that for the town of that IT professional coming to do that?
Yes, sir, we did.
What were the costs for that, or roughly?
$195.
So we spent $200 of taxpayer money to retrieve some audio that we didn't even have to retrieve. So just wanted to have that there. Are the sheriffs getting paid overtime right now for being here this long?
No, sir, they are not.
Okay, thank you for being here, guys, as well. And that's really all I have. If anyone else, I'm ready to vote.
I'm ready to add to your comments.
Okay.
I did not call this whole thing. This is all a monster project, kind of like the Great Wagon Trail. This is something that you called for, and Fred Franklin second. Did I call him Fred again? If they get it right, Fred? Okay. Well, you call me some other name other than Max, so I think we're even. Maybe you can call me anything if you want. But I did not start this procedure. I only signed our social media policy because, one, it said it was non-binding. That means nothing happens at all. My life doesn't change whatsoever. And we've spent thousands of dollars on just Al alone. And then anybody in here who's still on the clock, that's just like at the gas pump. Those numbers are rolling. I did not bring this. You guys voted to have me censured, and it was unwarranted, and the recording was very important because, one, it will show, if you would even listen to it, that I did not raise my voice. In fact, your voice was louder than mine, but it wasn't even uncivil. So based on crunching a monster can and raising a voice, nobody wants to hear me say what I said. But it is evidence, and it's hard evidence, and it's better than minutes. Angie's Not that good. You can't indicate whether I was yelling. It's not better
I'm sorry,
than
Matt, can
listening.
you refrain from
But I mean, I'm just saying,
types of,
Angie can't put in words on paper more than what you could hear from the recording. Does that sound
May I
reasonable?
interject, please?
Sure.
Angie is very articulate. Our entire staff is very capable, very professional.
I'm not being
I'm
critical.
tired of you insulting everyone that doesn't agree with you or give you what you want to hear, Mr. Wilder.
It's not Angie's fault.
I think,
It's not Angie's fault at all. She's not done anything wrong.
Totally
I'm
fine.
just,
No worries. I think we're ready to call
Mayor,
for a
I'd like
vote.
to, I'd
We're
like
ready
to say one
Okay.
thing
Go ahead.
that I wrote down during all of this discussion.
Sure.
And Councilmember Wilder, you said that you have had continued efforts to make Lewisville a better place, and you have continually been running into obstacles. I'll just offer a few words that I consider to be wisdom, however that may be objective. How we get things done as council members here in this town is not digging our heels in and being stubborn, for lack of a better term. It is working together, building relationships, and trying to gain consensus on issues. These issues do not happen, or actions do not take place overnight as we make decisions on them. However, poor attitudes toward one another and such behavior that we have discussed tonight, they build divides between council members. And as we're trying to get our personal agendas that we see could make Lewisville a better place, as we try to get those items accomplished, these types of actions hinder those items of agenda rather than help. And that is the wisdom that I wanted to offer in this situation.
I'm old enough to be your grandfather.
I'm aware.
I don't think there's any wisdom you can bestow on me.
All right, it's all right. It's okay, guys. It's okay.
If I may, Mr.
Sure.
I do have a comment. Councilmember Wilder, I know you keep talking about raising your voice and proving with that tape that you did not raise your voice. I don't specifically remember you raising your voice. What I responded to was your abruptness, your standing up, your walking behind Billy, your motions, and then, I know you used the word, Stacy, storming off. I was concerned. As a human being, I was concerned about another human being who seemed to be in crisis. So it's not about raising your voice. I was concerned. My impulse was to get up, let me see if I can go help. And I sat there because I felt my role, I'll listen to the mayor or what the mayor's going to do next because I'm in that role. But I was concerned. And I didn't know, the night, and you sat behind, you didn't sit with us as a team, part of the group. You decided to sit outside that. So it's not just about raising your voice. It was your inappropriate behavior, and you were distressed that it seemed that things weren't going your way, and you felt that the staff was basically inflating the cost to do you harm. And that's what you seemed to be angry about. But you definitely seemed angry, frustrated, appeared that you were going to quit town council. You walked out. Nobody knew if you were going to come back. I mean, I'm just speaking for myself. That's the way
All
I
that's
felt.
correct. All that's correct.
Okay, all right. So, I mean, even if we heard the tape, we still have issues with your behaviure that night.
Like,
And that's,
we were there, literally.
we were there.
Like,
And I was sitting literally right next to you, Mac, as you jumped. It felt like you jumped up, and to me, it felt like you slammed that check down on the table. It was abrupt. Okay, that's my last words.
Yeah, can I just formally apologize to Angie? I was not trying to be critical of her note-taking skills. I just was making a comparison to a recording versus words on page. So if I offend you, Angie, I honestly apologize from the bottom of my heart. I mean, this is not a kid just trying to apologize to get out of trouble. I'm apologizing to you personally, I hope you didn't take offense, but if you did, I was wrong.
Are we able to ask for a vote on Councilmember Franklin's motion?
Yes, I think you're saying debate is closed, so you're ready?
Yes, I'd like to close debate if possible. Thank you. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All
Are we
opposed?
voting on closing debate, or are we voting on the measure?
I'm sorry, we're voting on closing debate. That's my mistake. All in favor to close, do I need to take a vote to close
Okay,
debate?
so let's pause for a second.
Okay,
As is in the writing, you had a motion on the table, you had a second.
Right.
You debated the motion, so now you're taking a vote on the motion that's laying on the floor.
okay.
And we're going to do a numerical count for Madam Clerk's records.
Okay, so that's what we were, for Councilmember Franklin's motion. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right, so that will be 5-1, Madam Clerk. I'll let the record reflect that 5 votes in the affirmative and 1 vote in the negative. Thank you. All right. And so there is no other business before the council. I would like to say one thing before we close. I know Councilmember Wilder for about the past year or so, and I do think that inside he's a good person, and I do want our citizens to leave with a feeling that this person does have a great heart. He and I have spoken for months on these issues. We've had hours-long phone calls. I've tried to do all I can, and I want to continue to work with him because I will not give up on my fellow council member. But I just want people to know he has a great heart. He really cares about what he believes in. He may have a way of expressing himself or doing business, which I'm trying to get to help him with. But I do believe he's a good person and he can redeem himself. So I just want to leave on that note. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
We have
I
a motion-
second.
Motion from Councilmember Franklin, second from our Mayor Pro Tem. All in
Excuse me, Mayor,
favor?
I believe it's Mr. Allen.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Brady. Councilmember Allen and our Mayor Pro Tem with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, guys. Come up.